All right, it says we're live.
We are live. Are we live? Oh no, it's like a separate one. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Could you type in the chat? I'm going to type in the chat.
Is it? Because I also can't see it. Do you have it listed as public?
Yes, I see it on my other phone.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Well,
You know,
technology.
Wait. Interesting. Where is it? Because it says live stream, and I am live. So where is it streaming? I'm like, oh no, it says live.
It says live. There we go. William's here. Yay! We've won. We've made it work.
Woo!
My YouTube account's already connected.
Oh my god, this is so funny. But
it's like I don't already stream on StreamYard. You know. All right. I think we're good.
I guess it's on.
I think it's on.
Okay.
Fix this.
I'm gonna share the link with people.
Okay. There we go. We're really professional.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I see first comments. Hi. I'm sorry. I did not realize I had to do something differently, but here we go. Yay. There we go. That's true. Yeah, so welcome. You're the first one. Yay! Hi, friend. You're number 2.
There we go. We succeeded. Honestly, I forgot how hard it is to walk somebody else through how to use the software when you're not in the same room as them.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy when like the person's sitting next to you and you can go, here's where you click. But trying to explain when somebody's not sitting next to you is not particularly fun.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of got used to it through the pandemic, I feel like, but it's still weird.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like you and I are so used to how we normally run the show. But we had planned to do another Estabrook show this week, and then they announced their topic, and we went, it's really hard to do a live show on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are streaming over our new channel for the first time.
Yeah. Do we want to reveal what we essentially are thinking of in the future? Isn't like,
I don't
like we're gonna rotate.
Oh, sorry. I was like, what are we thinking of? But sure.
Whoop. Whoop. I'm learning. Thank you.
You're learning. All right. Desk chatter is not always going to be on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
It has been for the past little bit because my account was authorized to have links, which when you're having guests is sort of important so that you can link their socials and stuff. Recently, Marina's got authorized to have links. Kari's got authorized to have links. That is no longer an issue, which means in future seasons of the show, starting later on in the spring, Kari and Marina will be hosting episodes on occasion.
Yep.
And we will sort of flip through whoever's hosting. They are all going to be added to the same Desk Chatter playlist. There's a way for you to add things to a podcast playlist if you weren't the creator. And so we'll do that. But yeah. And you've also pulled clips from some of the episodes. You pulled clips from the Esprit episode. I might do that with episodes I don't host. We'll have to see. And it should be fun.
Yeah. I think so. I'm just checking on to see if everyone's, found their way. My dummy video that never went up. It has a pretty picture though.
It does have a very pretty picture.
So yeah, no, that's what we're planning, and they're gonna do another one on Karis, I guess, at some point too, so we can all learn this routine.
Because it's definitely, I played around with it before we ever did Desk Chatter. I used it for some stuff. Because it definitely does have a learning curve.
Right.
And like this is the first time I've ever sat on the other side where I don't have the controls.
The tables are now turned.
The tables are now turned. I don't have my controls this evening. And that's weird. And so I also have to get over that before the two of you host.
Yeah.
I have to, let go of some of my control freakness with this show. And yeah, it'll be fun. I'll be okay. You'll be okay. We'll all survive this.
We will. I'm just posting a new link just in case,
people
are lost.
That's probably smart. Is there anything fun I can talk about? Not really. Oh, I finally inked up my broad nib for my Decimo.
Ooh. All right, new link is up. Hopefully people are gonna join.
Because I bought my Decimo with a medium and I didn't like it. And so I bought a broad nib secondhand. And I do really like it. And then I didn't like the ink I put into it. And so this morning I custom mixed something for the pen. Thank you, William. I have spent all day in the kitchen.
Nice.
It has been a very bread and plant day. We now have many leeks and a couple eggplants up. They're about this tall. I'm very proud. Mostly because last year our germination rate on seeds was terrible.
No.
Like I think we've already got more seedlings this year, having about 50% of things planted than we had last year when we had everything planted. Like our germination rate is so much higher this year. Will they all survive? Probably not, but like so far we're winning. And then I did sourdough crackers because if you're Canadian, I think that they're all over Canada. There's a grocery store called Farm Boy, and they do rosemary and thyme sourdough cracker. And I love them. But they are expensive. They're like $6 a box for a very small box.
You got expensive taste.
And so last time we were in the city, we went to a Farm Boy and I took a picture of the back of their box. And I worked through the recipe today in like the order of ingredient list. And I duped them fairly well. They're not 100% there, but I'd say they're about 90% there. They need to be a little bit thicker. And then we did sourdough tortillas from Farmhouse on Boone's recipe, which then became pizza crusts this evening because we are fancy like that. And did tortilla pizzas. Like we're 7, but it was great and it was fun. And we had put away roasted red peppers and dried mushrooms, and we had also dehydrated homemade tomato sauce back in the fall.
Ooh.
When we were still we were at one point in the fall we were harvesting about 75 to 100 tomatoes a week, and Mom and I started to run out of ideas, so we just started to make tomato sauce and dehydrate it. And so we did homemade pizzas, and I did 4 loaves of bread.
Nice.
And
Wait, are
so
you gonna like freeze it, or are you gonna able to? Well, it's a lot of you, right? So I guess.
so I would say when the house is full, we go through a loaf of bread every sort of 3 days.
Hmm.
But what I wanted to do was I'd seen somebody's recipe for, and we've got a Dutch oven. I hate using the Dutch oven. It's heavy, it's bulky. I just don't like it. Using 2 loaf pans
Mm.
to make a Dutch oven. I wanted to try it. Worked really well. So that's what 1 loaf was. So 1 loaf is like a traditional sourdough, really crunchy hard loaf, with the split seam on top. There are pictures of these all on Instagram on my stories. Like, if you feel the need, you can go and find the pictures. And then
enough.
2 are sourdough sandwich bread, and those will get sliced. 1 will be frozen, 1 will be gone by like Saturday morning. And sooner if we do something like French toast. And then the last one was a little mini loaf, and that is cinnamon and maple. And that's just sort of like a guilty pleasure. I always have a little bit extra. I make about 150 grams extra dough just in case it doesn't rise as much, so that I've got extra to put in pans. And Victor, the sourdough, rose quite nicely, and so I had a little bit extra to make a like cinnamon sugar loaf thing that I'm sure I will have tomorrow with coffee, or potentially tonight as dessert. So there's your bread update. I know it's been a while since we've had one, but it has been a week, and it was, time to do bread, and I figured it's been a while since we talked about it on Insta, so why not?
Yay. Oh, hello.
Hello, Amy.
Oh, sneaky. She's a what?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you kind of missed the drama of me not knowing how to use things, but
it's not. I'm gonna tell you, it's not an easy software.
it is unusual. Just unusual. I mean, it's not bad. It's just a learning curve, I would say. So
Yeah, and it's like it takes time. Like, if you go back and watch those first 2 desk chatters, they're
which
awkward.
I just did.
It was like number 3 before I really had it on a roll.
I can't say we had a good audio at that point. It wasn't great.
No, but also, like, I am in no control of other people's audios.
Yeah.
We just got better at not talking over each other, really.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was funny because, like, if anyone has seen my latest video, it was like for Steven. Yeah. He was our first guest ever. And it was a great conversation we had with him. And like, I messaged him, when the YouTube video went up, and I was like, hey, you remember this? It's like, and happy birthday, by the way, because it was his birthday. And he's like, that was such a great conversation to have. And I was like, I did not say it, but I'm like, yeah, I hope we can do over it.
Apparently, it's really glitchy.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry.
That tends to be a software thing. That doesn't tend to be something that either of us have any control over, unfortunately.
All right. What if I change my location again? Is it gonna get better?
Abby?
My Nook.
New Nook. Yeah, no, it was a good conversation with Steven.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, I really like that, quite a few people commented. So, Okay,
Oh,
everything is good. So like,
oh, using it as a host. Yeah, as a streaming host, it's not.
so I can go back. Okay.
Yeah, there just aren't good alternatives to StreamYard.
Right.
That are free. That's the perk of StreamYard, is that as long as you're okay with the little logo in the top, it's over here, I think, it's free.
Yeah. And well, with what we've discovered, if it's really a lot, like the maximum they allow people, that gets tricky too.
Yeah, if you get up to the 6 that they allow on the free plan, it starts to kick people out, which is annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I'm wearing my party sweater.
Ooh.
Look, it's like 1920s party ladies.
I am wearing the very fabulous summer floral romper, which feels ridiculous because it was only +2 today. But I'm
But you feel the spring in your heart.
well, and we can see trees again. We can see Mom's little pine trees. We can see the fence, which is 4 feet tall. Like, I can see a 4-foot fence again. I can see the top of it. I can't see the bottom of it, but I can see the top of it. And it's also like I'm now filming 20 questions episodes that are coming out in like July and August. And I'm like, I can no longer wear like black and long sweaters. I need to at least look like it's not the middle of winter.
Aw. Spring is in your heart.
I would enjoy if, spring was an actual thing, but apparently it's supposed to be -20 by the weekend again.
Oh, someone appreciates my sweaters. Yep. I mean, we all have them. I have some too right now, I think. Ooh. I actually wanted to see. You wanted to pick.
Ooh.
I sort of already picked it. Remember how one of the live streams we had someone who was an art student and got excited because I mentioned I might want to open this box.
Yes.
That has some old stuff in it.
I do.
It has old stuff. Well, almost old stuff. So, yeah. Okay. This is a British watercolor box from like I don't know, maybe 100 years ago, maybe a little less, for a woman because it has birds.
It has birds.
Tiny. And it contains old paint that I do not open because I had no occasion to do so. And also has my watercolor that is a weird one.
Those ones were so pretty. Like, honestly.
Hard to make.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh. Aww. Well, hi, Ben. So Ben and I do not know winter.
Okay,
well, I know winter.
You do know winter.
But not right now. Aww. Oh, I'm sorry. So Ben had an accident. I'm sorry. That happened. He fell off the bike.
Okay.
Right?
I'm behind on things.
Yeah, we know it, but we don't have it. It's true. If you ever lived anywhere else, you kind of appreciate that you don't have to do it anymore. Aww. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Ben, I haven't been on Instagram all day other than to post bread pictures.
No, you're right. So Ben, I've heard good things about Pittsburgh for bicycles as well. I'm not sure if it's true, but apparently here, maybe New York and Pittsburgh. Yeah, I like my East Bay. Anyhow, so some old stuff. that you can't see.
Yes.
So there is one that's called Rose Door.
Okay.
So that's a weird one they no longer produce at Winsor & Newton. The
Oh,
one
so
that
is it a Winsor & Newton set?
this was not a set. I bought them separately. So I just never opened them. It's like Winsor & Newton Violet, for example. Something
Okay.
they don't do anymore.
No, they don't.
So, you know. And this is the Antwerp Blue. I mean, we know what it is.
We do.
And then I have a bunch of Rembrandt
Okay.
from the 70s. And, oh, I should be wearing gloves for this one. Aurora Yellow. Anyhow.
My
Yeah, I
rule
have
is just
gloves.
like, don't drink your paint water.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel is now smart enough when he's in the studio to go, and when he's in the bathroom where I clean my brushes, to go, was this used for cleaning brushes? What or not? There was an unfortunate incident several weeks ago where he did not ask the question, and luckily, all I'd been using was shimmer paints. And not anything that was cadmium, cobalt, or leads. It was like, okay, let's assume that if there's paintbrushes sitting next to a cup, it was probably used to clean paintbrushes.
Hello.
Hello,
Thank you
people.
for joining. Aw. Well, we had some technical stuff going on, so you didn't really lose out much.
We did. We've only been live for 22 minutes.
Yeah, so that's what I have. I think at some point I'm going to start opening these.
Ooh,
I
you could do each one as an individual video, opening them.
could.
You could. That would give you a whole bunch of content.
I also have the giant pancakes they used to make for draftsmen somewhere. I sold a lot of them, but I kept the indigo. It's the best indigo I've ever seen.
Oh, that's cool.
So we could do that one too at some point. Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with us. Hey. So we wanted to talk about how we both started using fountain pens for, our art purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I actually saw my dad. So my dad used to work as a draftsman. And so I saw him use stuff for like line work. And at some point in my life, I was like, hey, I can use this for fountain pens and watercolors kind of together. Also, because they used to do it like forever ago too. I just never occurred to me that you could like smash both together.
Yeah.
So that's how I came by. How about you?
I would say that I actually started with the Faber-Castell Pitt pens before I moved on to fountain pens and watercolor, because these are India ink. And so I was combining these and watercolor. And I still adore these. These are some of my favorite art supplies. And then I would say that mainly with watercolor, I will either use a single color as a wash for a background if I'm doing something really detailed watercolor on top. I did that for a couple paint your styles last year, where I needed a really flat background that I needed not to move a bunch. And that's the thing with ink, even water-based ink, is once you put it down, it will lift a bit, it will move a bit, but it will not move as much as most watercolors will.
Right.
And I needed, if I knew where it was, I would grab it. I needed a flat base for a paint your style piece, and that's pretty much how I use ink is in watercolor pieces is I'll use them as background washes, just to take away the white of a page. Sort of, you see it a lot in the sort of acrylic world where somebody will prime a canvas with like a bright color or a different color. And then black. I use black in a fountain pen all the time with watercolor pieces. It is what got me through Christmas cards this year, and it will get me through many, many cards going forward. But really, I would say I don't do anything really detailed with watercolor and ink together, or specifically the ink portion. Watercolor is almost always the detail part, and ink is just the background or the accent.
All right. Maybe, possibly you are. Yeah, I mean, those are just like by seeing by example. It was something that I learned, that I can actually, use stuff.
Yep.
So I think that was great. Oh,
I may have found the piece to answer William's question. So,
all right. So I'm gonna like that next.
Let's see if it's.
And then I'll tell you a funny story of where I use my noodler ink.
Ew. Let's see if it's in this pile, in this box. It might not be, but it might be.
All right. This one is up next.
Do you want us to answer first?
Sure. I mean, depends. So watercolors, yes, I would say so it depends on what are you using. If it's like, it has to be like really good paper if you want to do that technique. Yes, you can. I've done it. It's fun. I mean, it really depends on what you want to achieve. And you can totally go that way. I don't do it as much. I do it kind of half a page these days. Like not prime it, but like, kind of lay a bit wet half of it, and then just like the rest. It's usually for like the scenic type of stuff. So like for the skies, I would prefer it a little bit more watery than for the ground, when you're painting plein air or something like that. And while you're looking, we have a next one. Favorite waterproof fountain pen ink. For me, I still use the Trementus Document Black. That's the standard for me. I've tested a bunch of them. It just kind of dries a little faster for me on my regular paper, so that's why I use it. And then I use dark green as well as black usually. So dark green would be Lennon Toolbar. They have the atmospheric inks, and so that's the one I use. Atmospheric is their kind of document, aka waterproof ink. So that's the one I use. I also had zero problems with both of them just like washing out of my pens.
Yeah.
So I continue doing that. So
Sailor Kurigiro. It's the only waterproof black I use. There are a few papers that it doesn't love the sizing of, which is what watercolor like papers use to, I can't think of the word. It does not dry super well on Arches paper. Arches uses a gelatin-based sizing that isn't vegan, and I find that it doesn't dry super well, so I'll use it on top. But other than that, it dries fairly well on every paper and fairly quickly, which is what I like. And I've had it inked up in the same black pen for over a year.
Yeah, that's what I do with my waterproof inks too, for most part.
I do like
You're still looking.
no, I'm now I'm trying to find the pen. I don't know where the
Mhm.
pen is. So pieces that have used a wash of either ink or of color. I've pulled a series. I've not found the piece I'm looking for, but I've pulled a series. And I've also found a color palette for something that was just inks. So clearly, like, I've done things that are just ink. I just don't know what this was for because it's not labeled on the back. So we have that. But this was a wash of Sailor Blue Black
Nice. Yeah.
because I wanted the same sort of color value of the whole page in a way. And I like how it ended up looking.
Yeah. All right. So this is, I guess, timely. Question mark. What is it for you? So do you, I know we differ a little bit. I am someone who lately went for hot press. And you
Yeah.
still do cold press, right?
So I do cold press, but I don't do rough.
Mm-hmm.
I do cold press and hot press, but I don't do rough.
Mm-hmm.
And it really depends on what I feel like. So recently, I've been using, by recently, I mean last August when I painted all of these that I pulled as examples, they're all on Meeden rough paper or cold press paper, which isn't super rough at all. Like, it doesn't have a big tooth to it.
Mm-hmm.
It just has a little bit of texture. I don't know if the camera's going to focus on the texture.
Well, that's the fun part, talking about the
Yeah.
paper and watercolor paper. I think we also recognize that with fountain pen, that each company is slightly different the way
Yeah.
they make paper. So it's the same thing.
I would say that my favorite is still pretty much anything Legion Stonehenge does.
Mm-hmm. It's affordable too, at least here.
Yeah, I would say it's gotten progressively more expensive here. And then I really like, if I'm doing purely ink on paper, so what I use when I'm teaching, like I did at Atlas, any of my ink exploration classes, I really like the Fabriano 25% cotton studio paper.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you enough time to work and do things like I did for the Christmas cards, like the balls and stuff. And it's just fun to work on. I find that inks still show up fairly well. You'll still get sheen, you'll still get shading. Of course, my examples are upstairs, but and then
yeah, I have it here. One of the Canadian book binders.
Yeah.
Uses a lot of it. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she does. She's very nice. So she repurposes old books, and most of her paper is Fabriano Studio, which is a cheaper option.
And
or I think she does artistic too.
And that's what I was about to say. Their artistic paper, at least here, costs maybe $5 or $10 more a pad.
Right.
But if you want 100% cotton paper, it's one of my favorites to paint on. I'm out of it currently, and I'm quite sad about that. But I also, especially because I like painting small, Meeden and Bauhong are the same paper company. It's the same paper from both places, and I quite like both. And so you just sort of decide what works best for you, what you can get access to. Sometimes people can get giant rolls of Bauhong paper.
All right. Just in case, do you see a difference? Probably not. One of them is hot, so completely smooth.
Yeah.
And the other one is cold, which is rougher to the touch.
Yeah.
In case people are confused what we're talking about. And then the third category is like really rough do the touch.
Ooh, I have rough. Do you want me to grab rough?
Sure. Yeah, we'll see if that kind of show off. But I kind of changed in my preference. So in watercolor world, a lot of people, similar to inks, they like seeing that granulation or difference in color, gradient, or whatever color they mixed in to get a specific ink. Birmingham Pen Co. is very good at mixing weird neon almost colors dyes together, for example, and you can like see it when you wash them out. So it's kind of what people in watercolor world like a lot of times, seeing that on a paper that is not smooth because it flows in the way that you can see those gradients better. I'm at the point where I actually want things to work on the hot paper a little bit more than rougher paper, just because I think that you need a little bit more mastery sometimes. But
Yeah.
it might be me. Who
I
knows?
think I don't know. I would say I change my paper often. And sometimes even if a piece just isn't going the way I want it to go, I'll change up my paper. Like I've now done this. This was a 2023 Paint Your Style.
Yeah.
I think I've done this on 3 different types of paper. And this is my favorite one. This is the most recent one, which is on cold press. But I love the texture it gives, especially in the background. And that's sort of like I'm a big fan of the granulating colors. I want things like this. That sky, where that sky is a single pan of paint. Like that's what I love. That's why I have a series on how to dupe the Schminke set yourself. So I have a stack.
Ooh.
We're going to start with what is technically marketed as a cold press paper, but I truly believe is a hot press paper. Feel free to argue otherwise. But in my
Depends on the brand.
in my opinion, Lenox cotton paper, which is also not marketed as being a watercolor paper, but is one of my favorite watercolor papers, is not a cold press paper. Like it's got almost no tooth to it.
Right.
It's so smooth, but it's so lovely to paint on. And then we have a heavyweight paper, because that's the other thing. Papers can come in various weights.
Yeah, for writing, we usually go for like lighter types, right? And if we're talking onion skin, it's like super thin.
Yeah. And I think for painting, it's like I prefer between 250 and 400. Anything higher than 400, I don't like. But I do have a couple of the Legion 600 GSM things, and that is a single sheet.
Yeah.
And it's got a bit
You
more.
can do washes all you want on that one.
Oh yeah, you can use and abuse this paper.
Yeah. So my question to you is, because I had a discussion with someone, one of my followers, who also uses pretty fancy pens for her art, and he's got no problem using Mont Blanc on her paper that is rough, like really rough. I would not go that way because I'm afraid to be like really damaged the nib. Would you what is your preference? When you stop like using the pen, like is there a paper you use it on?
Legion. Legion. Yeah. And specifically, we're talking about the Stonehenge line. They have a couple different. I think they make over 40 different types of paper.
And Blick has a lot of them. So
yeah.
In the US.
I've got both. I've got some of the Lenox papers, which are also lovely, but they've got Stonehenge Aqua, which are what we're talking about. And then I don't know if I hold them like. Oh, there you go. cold press, hot press.
Mm-hmm.
You can sort of see the texture difference.
Now,
Surprisingly, both of these are marketed as being white paper.
yeah, well.
And like, so this last paper is probably the one that I wouldn't use fountain pens on. It is a handmade paper, which is naturally always pretty much going to have more texture to it. I haven't found any hot press handmade papers.
Mm-hmm. It's very hard. It's very hard to, if you're not making your paper like inside a house, like I've used a lot of handmade papers.
Yeah.
If you don't have those really heavy presses that only big factories have, you will have some sort of texture on your paper.
This is it.
Hmm.
Oh, that really shows off the texture. And
yeah.
I would say I do not like painting on this particularly well.
I'm drinking water.
But
I've been asked.
Oh.
Drinking water.
Same. But it works really well for any sort of like playing around with inks. Of all the 100% cotton papers I have, if I want to play with ink, this is my favorite one to play with ink on. Though this is not a paper I use fountain pens on. Most of the Legion papers, though, I will. I would say Arch Rough, I haven't used a fountain pen on other than my black one, but my black one's a $19 fountain pen, and at the end of the day, I can always replace it.
Yeah, let's going back to when are you not going to use
like
it?
I would say like
Will you stop? Like, is there going to be, say, you have your new Mont Blanc, which
I have my new Mont
beautifully. If you ever are doing any artwork with it, what paper would you do it on?
I think I would do it on a really like my bigger concern isn't necessarily the pen, it's the ink feathering.
Okay.
Most of the time you can floss the little bits of paper out of a nib. I've had fountain pen dealers that have admitted to using their fountain pens on napkins and newspapers.
Oh, yeah, that's not great.
But do it on a regular basis. Because it's a tool that they use, and then they just make sure they floss them afterwards.
Okay.
You can deal with those things. And so my bigger thing when choosing a paper is always like, does the ink feather on this paper or not? Because there are papers that I think an ink won't feather on, and then all of a sudden it does. Yeah, I'd say that's the bigger deciding factor. More than anything. What about you?
Well, I'm just like, I have like mental picture of napkin in front of me. And I'm like, if I had a broad nib, yes, but not the fine.
Will it make you squirrely if I write on a Kleenex with an extra fine nib right now?
I don't know, probably. I think my first foremost thing I would use Max Medium for any type of artwork. So that kind of complicates. That means my nib is finer. I am not gonna do super rough. Oh man, that was a lot of feathering though.
I know, and that's the thing.
I am triggered.
Feathering's always going to be my issue, more than anything. Like I know I said I wasn't going to switch up inks that were in pens because I'm trying to run things dry before Chicago. I realized that one of the inks feathered in my day timer.
Mm-hmm.
And that pen, I figured out how much ink was in that pen. I cleaned out the pen. I have re-inked it to the same level with a different ink that doesn't feather. Because I cannot handle how much it was feathering in my day timer.
Well, going back to your Mont Blanc, have you tried Mont Blanc permanent? That is a weird permanent ink.
No.
Permanent black.
No.
I might have some. I might give
because
you.
my sales associate warned me away from buying a bottle of it.
Really?
It is currently in its current formulation, stripping the coating from Mont Blanc nibs, and it eats away at steel nibs.
Well,
so I did not buy. I bought what did I buy? I think I bought amethyst purple instead.
That was kind of what the warning I got from I bought this restored pen. And so there was one thing only that the guy told me. He's like, I'm giving you 1 year warranty, but you're not going to have it if you're going to use the Noodler's ink because it melts the sacks.
Yeah. Same with some of the Pilot Iroshizuku inks and vintage Parker pens.
Interesting.
So Mont Blanc standard inks go in my vintage Parker pens.
So the only thing I knew about Iroshizuku, someone measured and it was pretty acidic.
Oh, so there's, I'll see if I can find it and I'll send it to you. There's a really cool, somebody pH tested a whole bunch of inks. And it's so nerdy and it's so interesting to see where like all the inks fall. Yes, statistically Japanese ink is more acidic.
It is.
Where's, as I get distracted.
That's what I've heard, but I feel like that's also how they kind of, they make their pens.
So it's called,
they can handle it.
I don't know if I can drop it into the chat because I'm not you, but it's called, you can Google it. It is called One Pen Show Fountain Pen Ink pH Test Acidity of 36 Inks.
Yes. I think there are 2 guys who are doing it. I don't remember.
Yeah. Like some of them are as high as, what's the highest? I think the highest is 8.1 and the lowest is Diamine Oxblood with 2.9.
Well, that's what I remember from seeing that test. I remember Diamine was confirmed as one of the safest out there. And I remember Robert Oster was apparently all over the place and it was extremely unpredictable. It was either pretty low or extremely high in acidity, which I was surprised about too.
And it's also the pH of inks isn't the same. It's based on color, pretty much. And I think it's reds tend to fall more acidic.
Yes, and blues and greens because that's how you get your green. Yeah. Is the opposite, which is surprising for Diamine reds then.
Yeah, I was surprised to see how high Diamine scored. Does this one have any Pilot on it? No, it doesn't. Because why would anyone need the Pilot Iroshizuku ones?
Parker Quink, but the washable, I think, is the safest of them all, right?
Yeah. So it's Waterman, it's Parker Quink, Diamine is technically on the list, but not
shimmer.
not shimmer, not sheening. And some of the inks can be quite acidic, so you've got to do your research. Yeah, exactly. Washable blue is meh. Ooh, I haven't tried their inks. So I
yeah,
can't.
either. You know what? Ackerman, their inks are made by Diamine. So
Their inks are made by
technically, I mean, SBRE Brown, that the one I have here is great. Like, I've had it, it like fixed my pens. Some just are working better after I've used this one, and then I switched to like regular ink.
Van Ness has the Calful inks as being vintage safe. So, sure. We're going to go with yes.
It doesn't like it. Oh, well.
That's fair. Honestly, I don't like washable blue either. Washable blue is boring.
Yeah.
Why would I use it when I could use something colorful and fun?
Although Watermelon Purple is one of my favorites. It's a great purple.
I have yet to have a bottle of it.
Oh, how did they fix my... I think kind of... So what happened, I believe, it was... There's a specific example for me. I have the pen here, actually.
Oh.
So one of my Santinis.
Ooh.
This one, but not the other one.
Yeah.
And apparently it's a known problem. People get in touch with them sometimes because the nibs, especially the finer, the more kind of... They're hand stamped, handmade. They are hand tuned, but sometimes it takes a little bit for them to start working. I don't know how to explain. So the first ink I got in there, don't remember what it was. Just felt a little odd. It was just kind of felt like it's drying up after I write for a little bit. And so then I put the SBRE Brown in. It was like perfect flow. And then after that, I started using a different ink. It has Toffee Brown by Mont Blanc. And it's just like, it seems like it has fixed the flow. It's like it washed through the nib, and now everything is working fine.
That was a discussion that I had with a couple of the brands at the Atlas Sidewalk sale. I think it was a conversation I had with Kenro and with Bryce and maybe with one other person, was the ink that they reach for when a pen isn't working to after or before they've tried pen flush to flush it through. Because sometimes just a little bit of something gets stuck in it during the cleaning process of a nib. Theoretically, we're all supposed to be cleaning our pens right out of the box. Yeah. I don't know how many of us actually give our pens a full cleaning out of the box. I know that I sure as hell don't.
I do if I see residue or if it feels oily.
That's fair.
Here. So,
yeah. I think if I'd had that experience opening a pen, I would. Most of the time, though, unless a pen does not write out of the box, I'm not fully flushing it and stuff. I'm, just going for it.
Yeah.
So
Fountain Pendulum. So I think it's the writing experience, but I think it's just technically maybe lubricated.
Yeah.
I think the nib, and now it's just perfect.
Pressure soaked. Yeah. I could see that. And that definitely feels like an Aurora thing to do. Ooh. I'm not a big blue fan, but I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think so. I looked up a couple of videos. There is this wonderful French reviewer who does a lot of Santini. I think I told you.
Okay.
I know William knows about him. And so I believe in one of his many videos he has done on Santini. He also had some sort of problem with one of finer nibs, I think. And so he reached out to Santini, and that's also one of the advices he got, was like a specific ink. And then from other reviews that I've also watched, people had similar experience where Santini asks you to try specific inks, and then if that doesn't help, they usually ask you to send the pen back to them so they can fix it.
Yeah, so I have heard of that. Like, I've heard of brands. So yeah, Monteverde inks are Conklin, Monteverde, and Private Reserve are all made by the same company. They're all lubricated inks, and they're definitely, if I've got a pen that for whatever reason like is writing really dry, or so it's just like being awkward, I'll throw something from one of them in it. But normally just flushing a pen's enough.
Yeah, that's what I
also have pen flush, which was something I totally overlooked. It seemed really silly. Like, why did I need pen flush? I recently acquired a bottle of Monteverde pen flush because I was trying to get a waterproof ink out of my Neo Slim, and I just needed a little bit of help getting it out of the feed. And pen flush is fantastic. I get why people love it now.
Right. I have 2 bottles somewhere too.
It seemed really silly to buy it because why did I need it? It has greatly reduced the amount of time I spend cleaning pens. It's fantastic.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm going to try and use on, oh God. So my first score of this year, if people don't know, I do kind of get some of my pens online or eBay. Hey.
Yes, you do.
And the one that I'm very proud I got this year, I need to go grab it to show it to you. It's Stipula.
Ooh.
So yes, and it's the nib is incredibly beautiful. It's like, I think it's 14K white gold. I got it for under $100.
Of course you did.
Near new.
Of course you did.
But there was one caveat.
It
looks like they inked it once and once only, but there was Bay State blue in it. I'm gonna show you, but it was the amount of time it took for me to clean that freaking nib. But it was all worth it because this is one of those, if someone's seen my videos, I had this unboxing for new old stock from this collection. I kind of hunt these. And most of them have number 5, I think, nibs. And this one is number 6. And it's just beautiful. It's one of the best finds I've ever seen. But it had the freaking Bay State blue in it.
Yep. That honestly sounds about right.
It took me days. And they totally inked it once. Like, I could tell. It was not like, really soaked in there. But also it was in a great condition. It's like, it's a pen that is out of the box, basically. So, yeah, no. I know. I was so happy I got it.
I did see the virtual pen show is such a dangerous place. Like, honestly, it's so dangerous. But it is fun to look at.
I think they were a little cruel. They had 2 stipulas. One is like really run down, yellow, which is not, people's favorite color for pens usually. And the other one was this one, and I was like, this one looks new. And then next thing I know, It had the big steak glue in it.
Well, you learned your lesson there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was worth it. So the funny story is, I was on Alexandra Your Life with Claire. And we
Okay.
had this conversation about people not washing out their pens before.
We did. Because Peter was in a bit of a conniption. Peter had just bought, I believe Peter had just bought a Mont Blanc.
Hmm.
And it had arrived boxless. And the pen was covered in ink. And there was ink all over the cat. Like, it had just, like, exploded in transit because the person hadn't cleaned it. Yeah.
Yeah, this one did not explode, but I opened it and I realized it's still inked, and that's what I thought of. I was like, we had this conversation. This is not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you guys have any questions? We are thinking of probably wrapping up pretty soon, so let us know if you have any questions for us. We'll address them. Other than that, we can just start wrapping up because it's the first live ever.
It is.
So. And we had some technical stuff because that's always fun going on. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have a couple of lives here and there, probably once a month or so on my channel. And then I think next season might be on my channel, and then Kari will take over.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna rotate like every week, but we're gonna do it like seasonally, so people don't get confused.
Unless somebody's sick, in which case somebody else will, host the episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't tried any of the Diatramentus inks, unfortunately. They're hard. They're quite hard to find.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've seen them on like Amazon and whatnot.
Yeah. So So they are on Amazon. I mean, like in a pen store. I've never, other than, I want to say Atlas had them at one point.
I bought mine from Yoseka.
Okay.
Yeah, Yoseka had them. Goulet definitely has them.
Yeah, I want to say Atlas has them, but they're out of stock of most of the colors currently. But other than that, like Goldspot doesn't have them. They're hard to find.
So for me, my personal experience, it's actually is somewhere in the middle for me. The Trementis, that is. I've also tried their gray, dark gray. That felt a little more dry to me than their black, which was disappointing. Because it gave that graphite pencil type of feeling, and that's what I was after. So I'm still looking for a good sketching ink that is like graphite type of color.
Yeah. I do so much of my sketching just with a pencil. Would I love to sketch with a fountain pen? Yes. Am I neat enough in my sketching to sketch with a fountain pen? No. Like I do my base sketching in a pencil, and then I go over it later in a fountain pen.
Yeah. I mean, it's the confidence game. Yeah.
Yeah.
A long time. Yeah. Yay.
Your Mont Blanc videos.
Thank you.
Great. I love your Mont Blanc videos.
I think it is. Thank you. I think it's most watched video on my channel so far.
It's a fun video.
So I think
though not enough Lola in it.
Oh, Lola the Australian Shepherd. She's not here, but
yeah, there's not enough of her in the Mont Blanc video. Recent videos have had enough Lola.
Yeah, she is special. I'm gonna do an announcement, sort of. I'm gonna have myself accountable, hold myself accountable, but because of this Mont Blanc video, I'm gonna do a walkthrough through all of my Mont Blanc inks and any future ones, and I'm gonna just pick it, and I'm gonna make a video while swatching it and talk about the whole collection. they've
That's
had.
fun. I was supposed to send you my Mont Blanc swatch book, and that didn't happen. Maybe that'll happen next week.
Yeah. Well, or whatever you're coming out here, or
Yeah, I kept getting distracted, and it didn't happen.
Oh,
It's sitting with, like, the funny thing is it's got its stamps on top of it. Like, I'm ready to mail it. I just, like, haven't put it in an envelope and taken it to the post office because that was too much work.
talking about Canadian Post for some reason, but so oh yeah, I'm gonna strive to make those because I have quite a few. I am a huge fan of Mont Blanc ink. I have
You are.
so many, and I think I'm gonna have more.
I'm really excited to see they released the new Ferrari pen this week.
But yeah,
I'm really excited to see what the ink is to go with that pen.
is it gonna be yellow?
I think it's going to be yellow. The question is it going to be bright like the Disney yellow, or is it going to be a muted yellow?
So my beef with them is they've had too many reds.
I agree they've had too many reds, but I really like Jane Austen.
Yeah.
If it's a muted yellow, I, might be able to vibe with that. I'm not against a muted yellow.
So Phantom Pendulum, long time ago, I had a collection of old pens, and long time ago, someone told me they put only Mont Blanc inks in their old pens. It was a gentleman in his 80s. So considers it to be safe, and that's how I started, except for permanent.
Yeah.
And so I got hooked on them. Then turns out some of my inks I've had no longer have because I've lived all over the world, and just some of my collection is no longer there. So I went on eBay and looked for some inks. There are inks that I bought for $30 at the time. They're now worth $400. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
How collectible they are.
And, like, that's the thing. Like, I wish when I bought my Around the World in 80 Days, they had 2 bottles of it. I wish I'd bought both because now they sell for, I think I saw it on eBay for $300 a bottle. It's like, oh, I should have bought both. One for me and one for the world.
William is a brave man. He's gonna get a Gatsby. Yeah, I feel like there's so much controversy.
I have seen the Gatsby in person. My local Mont Blanc had them on display. He asked if I wanted to hold it, and I went, I'm okay. And then
people either really love it or hate it. That's what
my thing is, it's not a Mont Blanc. Williams pen.
Oh, it's not.
Ooh, interesting.
There was something else. Remind me.
Essence Earth. What? Sorry, my brain's so.
Meanwhile.
Yeah, that one. If you go to the Gold Spot site, I just wrote a blog post on, or just like back in December, wrote a blog post on the best red inks. And that might help.
Are you able to maybe share the link in the comments after the live?
I can't post a link because I'm not the host of this.
Mm-hmm.
You can post links, but I can't.
You can send it to me so I can post it for
I will.
Awesome.
It might help. But you like the Gatsby ink?
I like the Gatsby ink. I like it more than Muhammad Ali ink. Yeah.
See, I regret not getting the Ferrari purple ink.
Yeah. That's a good one. So maybe they really released that one. That's my guess.
That, oh, that would be fun. They re-release the Ferrari ink, I'll be very happy. I just like I'm tired of reds, and I'm tired of, it's gonna sound crazy, I'm tired of overly saturated colors. Like I like Jane Austen. I like Around the World in 80 Days. I don't know that I've liked anything else they released this year. I didn't like any of the 100th inks. Like, I much prefer the other stuff. I recently found somebody who was selling bottles of, oh, what's it called? It's the pale pink.
The pale pink. You see, I'm not into pink, so I'm like,
it is called Mont Blanc Ladies Edition Pearl, because of course it is.
Marilyn Monroe one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I found somebody selling bottles of that, and I did consider that, but it's like,
you can find it cheap. It was not
you can find it. Yeah, but it's also like, do I need another pink ink? I have many. The chance is I'm going to get a couple more pink Sailor Mano inks. They've just released a bunch in the fall or spring last year. Like, as much as I love the Mont Blanc pink, do I need it? Probably not.
So to that point, I think the Around the World, the first one, was so popular, and possibly because it was a winning color combo.
And I have, which one do I have? I have the brown edition, which I think was number 2.
Me too. Yeah.
I love the artwork on this box. Like, it's so stunning, especially when, like, Jane Austen is pretty. Like, the peacock feathers are lovely, but when you compare it to this, it's like, okay, sure.
And he has some really fun layered stuff in there. Like, if if you like look into what they combine together, there is a beautiful purple, I believe, in there. Flamingo. Oh, I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either. Yes. So I put it on, what did I try it on this week? I tried it on a new paper this week, and all of a sudden it was like a bright purple, and I was like, why? I have yet to find the paper that it is this color. I have faith that there is a paper that it is this color.
Stone paper.
Okay.
Is a similar, but they say it's not great for fountain pens. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I have, because most of the time they're fairly accurate in their box swatches, I would say. Like, they're not 100%, but they're most of the way accurate. They're close enough to give you an approximation. Jane Austen, it seems so off that I think there has to be a paper that it's this color. I just haven't found it. But I found a paper where it's slate blue. I found a paper that it's bright purple. I found a paper that it's gray. We're just like working through my paper collection.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at that one. And that one is sold out. That was very quickly out of the stores.
Oh, I couldn't get a bottle in store. Peter Coco found a bottle somewhere and sent it to me. I have not. I don't have any in my collection. I will have to get some at some point because people keep asking me about it. But
thank you for coming over.
Thanks for watching. Hello, Shannon.
Well, Shannon's late to the party.
I'm gonna guess the Esterbrook thing's over. We did not do commentary tonight.
How did it go? I didn't look at it.
Apparently the new Ferrari pen is on the site.
Yes, I saw
Yes.
it in yellow. So that's why I'm thinking it's either they're gonna re-release the purple,
Yeah.
or it's gonna be red because that's what they're gonna go with for funsies.
Well, because if you scroll down, if you look through all the list of pens, there's the yellows and then there's a special edition red. So there are red pens as part of this collection. So you could be right. Or they could make us all really happy and re-release the purple.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Mont Blanc's going to do that. We did not Esterbrook live tonight. We talked about pens and paper.
So you'll have to tell us, Shannon. So it was very similar to last time, right? With the vintage nibs, from what I understand. And please let us know if we should tune in next time. So last time it was like pretty high bidding for one of the pens.
Last time was fun. And so was the time before that, though we didn't stream the time before that.
Yeah. No, the first time was very intense. It was just so many pens.
I'm so happy with this custom purple ink I mixed.
Aww.
It is so pretty. Like, so pretty.
All right, Shannon, I have a question for you. So for Esterbrook, is it just like a new venture they're exploring? Or are we attracting more people to fountain pens? How do you see the auctioning?
Also, you don't have to answer the question if you're not, allowed to.
But there's a discussion about it, so that's why we kind of we're interested in your input.
Oh, okay. We might have to shuffle some things around then.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah, because we were supposed to have live on the 19th, so
we are. We're gonna
figure it out.
We're gonna shuffle some things around there. I guess we are not doing live on the 19th because we will be doing commentary on the 19th.
Yay!
Do we have a guest for the 19th we have to reach out to?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Well, I did not book them, but we had two options.
Great. Well,
we
just have to talk to Kari and switch dates to either the 12th or the 26th.
Right.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's fair.
And next time we're live, Shannon's on with us.
Yeah.
Or next time we're live like this. To be fair, there's a very small chance that I don't go live between now and next Wednesday. It's me, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I think, Shannon, too. But we're going to talk about it. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about how is the community feeling these days? Are we burnt out? Too many pens?
Too many releases back to back to back?
Yeah. So it's just so much is going on. I mean, there's one thing that we haven't discussed that I was actually thinking of discussing because I brought my Santini pen and Santini is no longer doing 18K nibs.
Well, they are by special order. But
it's going to be more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. They're no longer standard on a pen.
Yeah, which is understandable because their priorities was we're going to raise the prices or we're going to maintain the same ish prices and just downgrade to 14K.
This was, I think we started to hear rumors about gold nibs going up in price months ago.
Right.
The first time we talked about it was back in November.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there's another company that explicitly addressed that, but I feel like they're the first ones to actually address it. They felt like since they began their making of nibs, gold went up, roughly 20 years ago, went up by 600%, they said.
Yeah, it was...
I mean, I think Japanese companies were mainly raising their prices and have done so already, but
I would expect that probably every pen nib maker is going to have a price increase in the next couple months, and in some cases sooner than we expect.
Right.
I think some of them are potentially going to happen unannounced.
Yeah. So
Or
that's why I appreciated that.
yeah,
We actually talked about it.
or what yeah, I love the new 1911 as well. Inks have already gone up in price. I know that Goldspot sent an email end of December about price
Which was
increases that were
nice.
happening Jan 1.
Mm-hmm.
I am expecting that email pretty much any day now about other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sort of waiting.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to see other makers downgrade their production, because at the end of the day, Santini is still small. It's easier for them to change up something like that versus somebody like Sailor or Pilot. I think in those cases, we're just going to see a price increase, and it's potentially going to be an uncomfortable price increase.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I just personally appreciate when you're being given some heads up, but I understand when someone doesn't do it. So.
Yeah, margins might be different. That's true, but also I think we're going to see maybe suppliers bringing in less.
I also think in case of Santini, that's why they might have not, only talked about it raising prices now, and they were doing fine before that because they had some in store. I don't know, speculation. So yeah, you know what? I think the secondary market is going to explode even more. So that's something to look forward to, especially if you missed out on some nibs and some pens that you really wanted. So that's the positive.
Yeah, I think secondhand's going to become a big thing. I also think, I don't know how many people saw Carola and other people's coverage from Cali, or from the Cali Pen Show. Lots of the nibsmiths had nibs you could buy even if you didn't get an appointment with them.
Ooh.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the next year or so, purely because a lot of the pens now take Yovos.
Yeah, which is
very
two
few
sides of the coin.
Yeah, very few companies are making their nibs these days. They might use a different feed, they might use a different housing, but they're using the same nib.
Yeah.
And so you can buy a pre-ground nib and put it in your pen.
I mean, some people feel that way.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Like, I don't. As long as they're tuned well, I quite like them.
Yeah.
If I've come to discover that I don't love them out of the box untuned. But people like Esterbrook that are quite good at making sure the nibs that leave them are good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great note to end our very first live on.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
There we go. We did it. We did your first live on your channel.
Yay! Oh, wait. Is this gonna work? Every time I do this, it either works or it doesn't work. Because like it's supposed to give me fireworks. There you go.
There you go. You win. Because it never works for me. I'm going to do it and it's not going to do anything. Look.
Well,
Julia's just shown up.
You missed out. It worked for me.
Okay, Julia, you're a
jumping
genius for using an ultrasonic to clean your ink sample vials. Like you are a genius for using an ultrasonic to clean your empty sample vials, Julia.
I should do that too. Yeah. Aw, we missed you, but next time I'm gonna do this again. Julia, we're gonna rotate our show between our 3 channels too in the future. So this was a test run.
This was to let Marina learn how to use the software.
Yay, thank you. I was just 10 minutes late.
There was only a little bit of troubleshooting. We survived.
Yeah. Yay, thank you so much. All right, guys, on this note, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.